As technology has advanced, we've learned to tap into our most primal desires on a level never seen before. We're able to order super calorie dense fast food straight to our door with a click of a button. We're able to see any amount of explicit content at any time that we want. All of this is very new, and we have no idea how having unlimited access to these dopamine hits might affect our brains and behavior in the long run. But it's safe to say we're starting to see some of the side effects boil to the surface in real time. Porn addiction. We are bombarded with content that is tailored to hijack our strongest human drive, our sexual desires. Whether it's advertisements, movies, Instagram, or TikToks, the combination of algorithmic targeting and the vast amount of available content has made it nearly impossible to avoid. All of this hyperconsumption of sexuality has led to unprecedented number of young men with porn addictions. There's a ton of physical side effects, and I guarantee most guys watching this video have one or more of these. Here are just a few. Needing more and more crazy content to get you off. Not being able to perform with a real-life human. Death grip, aka not being able to keep hard or climax without the iron grip of your hand. Besides the physical, there's a ton of mental side effects too. You might have a lot less motivation, whether it's going to the gym or looking for a real partner. That spark of motivation just isn't there after a session. You feel terrible about yourself afterwards, especially if you got off to some really freaky stuff you would never do in real life. And perhaps a very underrated one is the strain it has on your relationships. You'll be very hard pressed to keep a girlfriend if you can't perform with her. The science. So what actually is happening to your brain when it's consuming so much explicit content? It's basically hijacking your reward system. When you watch porn, dopamine is released, signaling pleasure and reward. It gives the feeling of satisfaction, the same feeling as eating a nice meal or finishing a hard workout. The brain learns to associate porn with a dopamine surge and begins to crave it. However, with frequent and high-intensity exposure, something shifts. Your brain needs more and more of it, and at higher intensities to get that same good feeling. It makes everything else boring. Having a good conversation with a friend should make you feel good, and it should make you want to be more social to get that same hit. But with your brain on porn, talking to people becomes boring and a chore. The dopamine hit is nothing compared to getting a sexual release. And over time, all the things you used to enjoy don't become as enjoyable anymore. The rise of OnlyFans. The popularity of OnlyFans is an interesting phenomenon because for the first time ever, you had the power and the lion's share of the profits going towards the performers themselves. You're seeing people make massive amounts of profits, with some of the most popular on the platform making upwards of $1.5 million a month. But it brought with it a host of other problems. The personal nature of being able to interact with the creators has brought emotional intimacy into the equation when before it wasn't there. This creates for even more addictive consumption, especially for guys that suffer from loneliness. And a lot of guys suffer from loneliness. Once your most primal needs like sex and intimacy are met through intense addictive content, the only way to break it is by having authentic intimacy in the real world. It's the difference between reading an entire book and watching a movie based on the book. One is harder and takes longer, but in the end is much more satisfying. But that's hard and takes effort, and it takes a lot of self-improvement to get there. NoFap. Now let's talk about the NoFap movement. People say cutting off masturbation and porn will make you more confident, clear up your skin, make you more social, have girls become more attracted to you, and a host of other amazing things. This is common sentiment in the NoFap community. The problem with this view is that it sets false expectations. If a guy does NoFap and doesn't see any of these amazing benefits, they'll be disappointed and spiral back into their addiction. I think taking a more realistic approach has much better long-term outcomes. What not to do. One thing I don't want anyone to think is that they're broken, unfixable, or that there's something inherently wrong with them. The advent of this addictive content is new. TikTok and bite-sized content and the personal nature of things like OnlyFans have taken it to a new level, and we're all basically guinea pigs in the experiment to see how far our brains can be pushed before they break. What you're experiencing isn't unique or shameful. Pretty much every guy is going through it with varying degrees. Society, technology, and marketing have combined in a perfect storm, exploiting our brain's reward system. But the brain is insanely adaptive, and you can bounce back stronger than ever. Here's my perspective. First, you have to understand this. There is nothing wrong with having sexual desires or wanting to have sex. This is completely normal. Next, decouple masturbation and porn. Masturbation in and of itself is just a vehicle for release. We have been doing it since the dawn of time. Consuming excessive explicit content seems to be the real problem. One thing almost every guy notices is when they cut out porn, their masturbation habits reduce by a ton just naturally. Let's get to the real issue now: how to cut out porn. Most of the time, when you get the urge to consume porn, it's mostly because you're bored. This can become a vicious cycle, and you masturbate it because you're bored. The key? Fill your time in with more things that keep you away from the screen. Be in more public spaces if you have to. Do your work or study at a cafe. Anything to keep you from being alone in front of a screen. Next, curate your feed. When I didn't have any junk food in the house, I had no desire to eat junk food. Curate your feed carefully. Whether it's on YouTube, Reddit, or Instagram, unfollow everything sexually explicit, or start a new account and don't interact with sexual content. Algorithms are extremely powerful, but you have a lot of control in what you interact with. Now let's really answer, should you stop masturbating for a bit? If you strip all the bullshit away, it comes down to this. If you feel like you have problems in your sex life, like not getting aroused by your woman, having weak erections, or taking forever to climax, or you're majorly lacking in motivation to go find a partner because you're getting that release by yourself, it's probably a good idea to stop masturbating for a while. And don't be scared about any of the side effects being permanent. If you masturbate quite a lot and experience cravings for different fetishes as time goes on, some kind of maladaptation has taken place. You'll bounce back to your regular likes after taking a break from jerking it. If you suffer from death grip and delayed ejaculation, use some coconut oil to keep your willy moisturized a couple times a day and abstain from release for a couple of weeks. You'll have all your sensations back in no time. Since almost all of you watching this have masturbated regularly from quite a young age, stopping it for 3 months or so will be quite revelatory. Not in the sense of some weird superpowers, but simply for a sexual part of your being. Specifically, I would say that a recalibration will take place. The normal human female body you interact with in daily life will regain its attraction for you. Having sex with your girlfriend will vastly improve. You'll feel more motivated than ever to do things that will lead to getting a real girlfriend. You might see an uptick in your motivation to hit the gym, text that girl, or start grooming yourself better. But really, just try it for yourself. If you masturbated since your teens, it's at least an interesting experiment. Nothing to lose. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out our website for new articles at onpointfresh.com, our email list at onpointfresh.com/email, and finally, our Instagram page at onpointfreshco for the best short form content you won't find anywhere else. Thanks for watching.